Hi, this is Kara. Welcome to Breaking Free Fridays, or welcome back if you've been following the series. It's really great to have you here. So, today I was inspired to talk about why communicating is so hard and what we can do about it. This is such an interesting topic because communication it's everything connected to connection and relationship and really forging stronger relationships, deeper connections. And it can really be challenging. And I wanted to go a little deep about what exactly is behind that challenge and really unravel some of that, because I think you might be surprised about some of the things that actually create the challenge in communicating. And being aware of this is so much a part of breaking free of where we can get limited. So one of the things to keep in mind is that when we're communicating with people, oftentimes if we get triggered, that is automatically putting us in a place where we are less able to be responsive and we're more in a reactive mode. And when reactivity takes over instead of responsiveness, that automatically creates less effectiveness. And what we can find happen is that if one person gets triggered and that person then is communicating from a reactive place, it's easy for the other person to follow suit. It's almost like there's a mirroring that can happen with our nervous systems. And this is true when we're really regulated as well. If we are coming from a place of really strong regulation in our nervous system, that can actually help somebody that's feeling dysregulated come back into center. So just as a hint, and something that can be really powerful, in terms of the value of really having that mastery of our emotional regulation and our nervous system regulation. So going back to the triggering piece, when we are activated, when we're in a reactive state, it's very easy to get defensive. It's very easy to misconstrue what somebody is actually trying to communicate, and coming from a place of that defensiveness, that emotional charge, really getting into a place of that survival brain where we're not really seeing all of the picture. It takes us out of a place of really being able to rely on bigger perspective too. And it's that reactivity. So there's that piece that's really important to keep in mind. And then another piece that happens that's really important to be aware of, and this is connected to trigger as well, but it has to do with how a person actually in a state of communication, where they really are wanting to avoid conflict. And if somebody has grown up and has some deeper wounds, some unresolved trauma that has their belief system wired to a place where safety equates to no conflict, then there will be patterning that really does a lot to avoid conflict. And one of the things that happens in effective communication is there's disagreement. People don't come from the same point of view, but that's also where there's a lot of richness, a lot of really interesting dialogue that can come about. Really amazing ideas and solutions can come forward when we can come to a place where we're able to really communicate effectively around different points of view, around different perspectives, in essence, in places of conflict. But if we redefine conflict as something that is potentially an impetus and a springboard for something amazing, then we open the doorway to just a real depth of richness in communication. But the key to being able to get there is in regulating our nervous system and being able to come from a place of responsiveness and openness, curiosity, as opposed to that place of reactivity. So that's another piece to keep in mind. And another big point that can make communication really difficult is if a person doesn't feel safe. And again, this comes back to another form of triggering. But if a person feels that they're being judged, or for some reason there's a lack of safety, then it makes it very difficult for a person to show up in conversation in an authentic place. So oftentimes this is where people that are otherwise very honest, they might, lie just to stay safe, just to avoid that conflict. And so if we understand some of these dynamics that are at play, it really creates an invitation for doing something different. And a lot of it does come back to regular practices that can help us discharge our nervous system, reset our nervous system, and also maintain it in a really well-regulated place. And there are some really great tools, effective tools that can make communication easier. There are definitely things that take practice and skill, but so worth pursuing. So worth it, because imagine the other side of taking the time to really practice those skills and develop. We're talking about deeper connection. We're talking about more authentic relationships. We're talking about more effective communication. We're talking about just greater richness in the connections that we have in our life. So both of these things, these tools and techniques that I'm going to share, they come back to a place of really focusing our communication on our experience. When we focus back on our experience, it disarms any kind of potential feeling of attack or judgment or blame that could be interpreted by the other person and may not be an intention at all that we have. But for example, if we approach communicating with someone and we talk about, let's say there's an interaction that's going on, and I say, oh, when you share with me that you question my intent on such and such, I feel, so remember, it's taking back to my experience, I feel invalidated and I feel discounted, for example. What would really be great and helpful is, would you be willing to, share this way instead? And so you're bringing things back to your own experience of a situation and inviting somebody to help you have a different experience. And we love to help people, we love to give. And so it's making sure that it's just coming from a place where it's really about your experience, as opposed to, you want to be careful and cautious about saying, you made me feel this way, or you did that, because that's very accusatory and blaming, and it automatically puts somebody on the defensive instead of being in a collaborative mode, right? So keep that piece in mind. And then this other concept, this was developed by Julia Caldwell, and it's It's called SEW, SEW. It stands for sensation, emotion, and want. It's similar in concept to the other tool that I was describing, in that it really brings things back to your own experience, as opposed to projecting your experience onto the other person as though they actually did that to you. Because remember, even though when we're experiencing an intense feeling, an intense emotion, it feels like something outside of us caused that, it's actually something within us that is inviting us to an opportunity for healing, for awareness inside, that goes to a deeper place in our own being. It's like this invitation to healing, to coming into greater wholeness for ourselves. In the moment, it doesn't necessarily feel like that, but that's what's happening. That's what's happening at a bigger level. So, okay, going back to this concept of so sensation. So if you're having a dialogue with someone, what are you feeling in your body? So this is really great because emotion and sensation go hand in hand. And oftentimes recognizing what we're feeling sensation wise helps us uncover and go through the breadcrumbs to realize what's connected to that, emotionally speaking, or even in our thoughts. So let's say, you have a tightness, like I'll just do an example. Oh my gosh, I feel like my throat is really tight. And, I think it's connected to me fearing communicating about, such and such. And then you go to the want. So there's the sensation, tightness in the throat, the emotion, feeling nervous or scared to communicate about something, like, nervous about how you might feel, how you might react to this. And that automatically gives the person an opportunity to find common ground with you, because it's like, it's disarming. And that's really helpful, especially when there's different perspectives going on. And then you come to a place of want, which is, what do you desire out of the dialogue or the communication of, where you're trying to come together. So keep those tools in mind. And one of the things that I'll just mention, as you are seeking ways to find greater ease in communication, remember, this is a skill that you're developing, new tools, and it's definitely going to bring you up against some uncomfortable things. It's not one of those things where you're flipping a light switch and all of a sudden the lights are on, right? We've been communicating and having certain patterns for however long they've been going on. And so, it's a matter of transitioning. It's a matter of practicing. And oftentimes what I've found helpful in my journey and in working with people is, start small and, pick out some key relationships where you feel particularly safe and connected, and be open with those people about what you want to do, and get them on board with practicing this with you. And remember, the treasure on the other side, that greater depth of connection, that openness, the safety, the effectiveness in communication. I mean, this up levels the game in terms of, possibility. And it's like the collaboration doors just swing wide open. And also it allows people to go deeper individually as well, which means that people are able to be more authentic. And that is a beautiful thing. So Let me know what you've experienced in your own communication challenges, how these tools are helping you, or what you can see with them. If you're enjoying this video, if you're getting something out of it, share it with your friends, with your family, subscribe or send a like. And I'd love to hear if there are other topics of particular interest that you'd like me to talk about. And I hope you have a great week. Here's to your next level of empowerment and breaking free. And I will see you next time. Bye for now.